What's going on, everybody? Good late afternoon. I know we got a football game on right now. Got a couple games going tonight, but we got to talk a little bit more about these Seattle Seahawks. So if you're watching this after the games, or maybe you're watching it the next day, no problem there. Please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Check out my latest videos on Bleacher Report. Had one go up this morning. Have another one going up tomorrow morning. We got to talk a little bit about Jaxon Smith-Njigba as he continues his big breakout that he started in the second half last season. So, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, JSN, the production is clearly there, right? We all know the production is there when it comes to JSN. I don't think I need to spell that out, but just in case I do, let's take a look here. So, JSN is currently second in the league in receiving yards, and this is before the results tonight. I would say that tonight is somewhat unlikely to change this. We'll see. But as of right now, he is second and only 11 yards behind first, Malik Neighbors. And if you go by receptions, he's also second in the league, only one behind Puka Nacua. Or Nakua, excuse me. That's really, really strong stuff from him. That's pretty remarkable because the Seahawks are not one of these teams that is throwing the ball 50 times a game. They are not one of these teams that just comes out and spam throws it. No, they are a team that is trying to run the ball. They are a team that has run the ball almost as much as they've dropped back to pass this season. So him putting up this kind of volume is pretty darn remarkable. But it's not just the volume. And shout out to the wonderful stat account for putting this up on their X account earlier today. This really helps highlight just how good JSN is playing from an efficiency level. Let's actually zoom in a little bit on this image here. It is a chart that charts passer rating when targeted and yards per route. So it's basically efficiency. How good are you at producing per route run, and how good are you at being an efficient target for your quarterback? And you can see that there's this big cluster of players near the middle here. You can see this is like the middle point, which is about 1.9 yards per route with a QB rating of about 95, 96, something like that. And JSN is all the way over here on the right side. He is third in the league. And by the way, there's a big drop off to 4 at Tucker Craft here, but he is third in the league in yards per route. His yards per route is up over 4. It's almost 4.5, which is so far ahead of the medium. And the QB rating I know is not that high. JSN's QB rating when targeted is a little above 100. It's like 108, 109, which is above average, but there's plenty of players above it. That's probably just because he hasn't caught a touchdown yet. Once he catches a touchdown, that'll go way up. And I don't think that anybody's holding it against JSN that he hasn't caught a touchdown yet. The opportunity just hasn't been there yet. I don't think that's anything that anyone is critical of. So even when you break it down by the efficiency numbers, JSN has been amazing. He's been one of the most efficient receivers in the league. Now, that is not the only thing that's amazing here, though. I want to dig a little bit deeper into this one. I want us to really understand what we're watching here. So, pay attention. We're about to go over to Pro Football Focus, look at some of their numbers, and understand how amazing this is. Speaking of amazing, let's talk a little bit about Sleeper, 60 seconds. Before we go any further into this video, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Sleeper. Have you heard about the app, the Sleeper app? Download it. I'm going to let you in on a little something now. It's more than just a platform for fantasy leagues. Yes, this year, millions of users enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but there is so much more to this app. There are live stats, real-time updates, and visualizations on all stats. News feed is lightning fast. You get updates on your favorite players and teams. There is a chat you can use in real time to engage with other users about plays and performances. All kinds of fun stuff like that over there. So download the Sleeper app, the #1 sports app today. Experience it yourself. Use promo code SBN to get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. SBN promo code. Back to the video. All right, welcome back. So here's the thing about this JSN season so far. So this is JSN's PFF page for snaps by position for his rookie season, which was 2023, right? 2023. And I'm going to scroll to the right here, and you're going to have to look past my head, but you can still see it, no problem. He was mostly a slot receiver. For every one snap he played wide, he played more than 2 snaps in the slot. So he was mostly a slot guy, right? Go to last year, which was his big breakout season, 2024. With Ryan Grubb, he had way more snaps in the slot than he did out wide. He had about 200 snaps wide and almost 750 slot. So by close to 4-to-1 margin, he was lining up in the slot. So a lot of his production came in the slot. So are you with me so far? Now pay attention to this. 2025, the season we're currently in, right? So far, JSN has all of 21 snaps in the slot, 61 lined up out wide. Out of 82 snaps, 61 have been lined up as a wide receiver. So he is, by and large, leaving the confines, leaving the comfortability, the ease, the relative ease of playing in the slot, to be playing on the outside, and he is still producing at an extremely high level. He is still one of the most productive and efficient receivers in football. So you put it all together. You've got the production, you've got the efficiency, and you've got the usage. This is one of the best receivers in football so far, period. You can't really take anything away from him. You can't sit here and say, oh, he's a slot merchant. There are receivers out there that you can say slot merchant about, plenty of them. But this is beyond not only what I think was a reasonable expectation going into the season. This is beyond any expectation that anyone reasonably could have had for JSN coming out of college. Because the book on him in college was that he was a slot guy. And the book on him the first 2 years was that he was a slot guy. So the fact that we are now sitting here looking at JSN playing almost 75% of his snaps wide and still producing at this level is pretty off the charts. And I think it redefines his ceiling, because think about the players that are typically compared to JSN. I can think of 2, right? The first guy is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Let's go through Amon-Ra's career starting with his rookie season in 2021, okay? Let's start with 2021 Amon-Ra St. Brown. All right. Oh, come on. 611 snaps in the slot, less than 200 wide. So he's mostly a slot receiver. We go to 2022, his second year in the league. Once again, it's not quite as strong, but he is still playing about 450 slot snaps and 350 wide snaps. So he's mostly playing in the slot. Amon-Ra, year 3 now, 2023. This was the year the Lions really broke out as a really good team. It's about even, right? About 590 slot, 590 wide. So roughly equivalent. 2024, this was last year. Come on. Little bit more wide than slot, but pretty close to even. Slot 480, wide 580. So very close, but a little bit more wide, still a relatively even split. So far this year, slightly wide, slight. So we can clearly see things starting to shift here. 59 wide, 50 to the slot. There has been a shift as his career has gone on, but he is still playing a huge chunk of his snaps. Nearly half of his snaps are being played in the slot. So yes, there has been a shift, but it is nowhere near the shift that we're seeing with JSN. Now let's do the same thing with another player that often gets compared to JSN in CeeDee Lamb. You go back to CeeDee Lamb's rookie year in 2020, pretty much exclusively a slot player. For every 1 snap he had wide, he had about 10 in the slot. Second year, this is the 1 year where CeeDee was kicked outside a lot. He played 600 snaps out wide and about 300 and 20 in the slot. So almost 2-to-1 in favor of wide. But after 2021, we saw things kind of normalize. In 2022, he was slightly more slot than wide, about 600 slot and 520 wide. So a slight lean towards slot, but still pretty close to even. 2023, we see, again, it's close, but slot clearly wins the day. 580 slot snaps to 480 wide snaps. So there's a significant favoritism towards playing in the slot. 2024, a little bit more wide, but it's very close, about 400 in the slot, 415 in the wide position. So that is the most recent full season we have. And by the way, he did miss a little bit of time this year, but not a huge amount. And then so far this year, and this is definitely worth monitoring, he's kind of going the way of JSN, where he's playing more wide than slot, 96 to 41. So maybe we're headed this way with CD as well. But clearly, so far, and it's just 2 games, I don't want to go too far with it, but you would think things would not change that radically. JSN is seeing a shift towards playing on the outside that even those 2 players that we just talked about have not really seen. The closest we've seen was the second year of CeeDee Lamb, where he was still productive, by the way. I would say that he wasn't one of the best receivers in football, but he was still very productive and very good. So worth monitoring what happens with him this year. But the point I'm trying to make is those guys have never been asked to play on the outside the way JSN is currently being asked to play on the outside. And those are 2 guys that are often considered among the top 5 receivers in football, at the very least top 8. So if JSN can maintain his production while doing something those guys have never done, which is play a big majority of their snaps outside, then we might be talking about a guy who is just playing better than those 2, right? Makes sense to me. You just add more value when you can still get open, still catch passes, still produce, still be efficient when you're playing on the outside. It's something that you can do that drastically increases your value to a team. So I know it's just 2 games, and I know we need to see a lot more. JSN seems like he's headed towards being maybe, I don't want to go too far with it, but in a couple months, we might be in a place where we have no choice but to conclude JSN is one of the 5 best receivers in football. And remember, he's doing this as the number 1 option. He does not have DK Metcalf taking the pressure off of him and taking all the coverage. He does not have even a Tyler Lockett to kind of be some heady veteran that runs these really difficult to handle routes for the opposing defense that forces their focus elsewhere. This is the JSN show. I know Cooper Kupp has been overall good through these first 2 games, but it has been a little bit more mixed with him. It has been a little more up and down with him. So it's not like Cooper Kupp is making his life easier with his dominant play. And certainly a guy like Torrey Horton, a rookie, or Elijah Arroyo, these are not guys that are making JSN's job a whole lot easier. If anything, JSN is making their job easier. So we might be sitting on something beyond even our wildest dreams. And, you know, I liked JSN when he came out. I thought he was a pretty good pick. I liked the pick fine. I started to question things a little bit when I saw how we were using him that rookie year. I didn't make sense of it. I really started to question him in the first half of 2024 when he was getting more opportunities and I didn't see the over-the-top play. But then last year, he turned it on. He became one of the best players in the league, and I was like, okay, here we go, finally. And so far this year, he's gone beyond even, I think, the biggest JSN fan. I don't think this guy will ever be as good as a guy like a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase, but he may not be far away from the slots right behind those guys. All right, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More stuff coming tomorrow. Maybe another video later today. I kind of doubt it, but we'll see. And everybody have a great rest of your day. Good stuff, man. This guy is going to get paid big bucks very soon, and he certainly deserves it. All right, everyone have a great day.